Do you believe that God is your refuge in the storm? Welcome to the Daily Devo. I am Vince Miller. This week we are in chapter 23 of 1 Samuel. We're finishing it today. I've titled this chapter, Your Way or the Lord's Way. Hopefully you're choosing to do things the Lord's way. Now, yesterday David barely escaped, and today he's going to run to his 13th location after leaving King Saul's house. I wonder where that might be. So let's see in chapter 23, verses 28 and 29. So Saul returned from pursuing after David and went against the Philistines. Remember, the Philistines are attacking him back at home. Therefore, that place was called the Rock of Escape. The Rock of Escape. And David went up from there and lived in the Strongholds of Engedi. So the next chapter, so excited about it, chronicles the Strongholds of Engedi, which in my opinion is one of the most significant chapters in 1 Samuel. You do not want to miss a single day of devotionals this coming week. You need to stay with me for the entire week and don't miss one. Watch them in order. Tune in because the next 7 days are awesome. But for a moment, let's just think about how David felt after running for years to now the 13th location. He had zigzagged across Israel to various locations to avoid the storm of Saul's unrighteous vengeance. Now, last week, I evacuated Bradenton, Florida, and headed up the coast and stayed in Panama City, waiting out Hurricane Milton. I was gone for 3 days, folks, 3 days. And I cannot tell you how emotionally and physically exhausted I was. I mean, when I returned, I was unprepared for how much physical labor I needed to do at my son's house in St. Pete's and my home in Bradenton. Just so you know, it looks like Haiti down here. Gas stations are out of fuel. There are power lines down everywhere. Most fences are gone and scattered all over the street. Massive piles of trash and debris line every single street. But you know what? I cannot imagine how David mustered a spiritual fortitude and stayed focused and centered in the Lord after 10 to 15 years of running from the storm of Saul's vengeance. It makes me wonder if I, as a believer, have become too soft, given the comforts and the pleasures of my time. I mean, think about it. 3 days of running from a storm where I was completely safe, out of the reaches, and I was already feeling the weight of emotional and physical exhaustion. 3 days. And yet David endured far worse. Years of constant running and hiding in uncertainty, and he didn't have a comfortable place to land like I do. There wasn't any relief on the horizon, just more running. And yet through all that turmoil, he stayed centered in the Lord. That's what we see in this journey with David. The rock of escape here wasn't just a geographical place for David, but it was a spiritual reminder. In the middle of his storm, God provided a way out, a refuge, and renewed strength to keep going. And I think this is a lesson for us. You know, when we face our own storms, whether short like mine or long like David's, it's easy, I think, to grow weary and question whether we can keep going. But the truth is, God is still your rock of escape. He meets us in the chaos and gives us strength to endure, no matter how relentless the storm may feel to you. So take a hard look at where you've placed your faith today. Are you resting in your comforts, in your routines, or in your own strength? Or are you really relying on the Lord as your refuge, your rock? David's endurance wasn't because of his natural abilities. It was because he had learned to lean on the Lord through every challenge, through every storm. So let's learn from his example and put our faith not in our comforts, but in the God of all comfort. Not in our comforts, but in the God of all comfort, who is our refuge when that storm rages on. So stay with me this week. because we are just getting started. I love you guys. I pray this has blessed you. If it has, share it with someone else. And I'll see you right back here again tomorrow.